The show will begin in 5 minutes.
Level 7, turn left. Then turn right. The doors are closed. Do not even try. Do you hear voices in this empty hole? Do you know sounds of this afternoon? The neighbors are eating dinner. The neighbors are watching TV. The neighbors behind the walls.
The show will begin in 4 minutes. The show will begin in 3 minutes. The show will begin in 2 minutes. The show will begin in 1 minute. And now, our feature presentation.
Hey everybody, it's Good Friday, and boy have I got something I want to talk about today with another attempt at making this stream a director's cut of the day's video, if you will, or more like an extended edition, or thoughts that I only thought of after I edited it. So, for those of you who did not watch today's video, and I know that there's literally only one person who did, and if you happen to be watching this again, hi, thank you. Obviously, this probably isn't a subject that a lot of people care about based on how little traction it got compared to, oh, what is it? Let's bring it up. So, I guess I should really lean into the dating or lack thereof content because that seems to be getting the most traction. Physical media also helps. Yeah, I think I gotta focus more on the type of subjects that are doing well. Really zero in on them. I would have thought that this one would have gained some attention. Yeah, see there in the thumbnail? Kids don't need smartphones because they aren't a rite of passage. You know, when I was coming up with the title for this stream, I actually realized you could call them a social development milestone. For those of you who don't know, it's a term I've heard in a lot of black pill videos about how you either hit certain social development milestones or you don't. There's a meme on one of DBDR's video thumbnails that where it's a super buff middle-aged guy with a big house miserably standing outside of it, captioned, "And now for all those social development milestones that happened in my youth, that were supposed to happen in my youth to happen now." I have my thoughts on those, but today I want to follow up on my thoughts on the article from today's video. My daughter is ready for her first smartphone. I'm not ready to give it to her. By Samathi Reddy. Now, I honestly am of the mind that children should not have smartphones. After seeing a bunch of content about how this how this typically goes and all the developmental problems we're seeing arise because of it, iPad kids and all that, I'm honestly convinced that children should just not be given access to the internet. Or if they are very controlled, parents should know everything they do on the internet. If you want the perfect case for that, look no further than Defending Jacob. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm going to have to spoil it just a little, but the fact that Jacob was able to write and publish a story that pretty much got him super close to being convicted by a jury of for What's the YouTube appropriate for ending his classmate? Which, for those of you who don't know, the whole story is about Jacob, 14-year-old boy who gets accused of ending his classmate who mysteriously is found deceased in the woods as the result of a violent attack. Long story short, Jacob's fingerprint is found on the tag of the classmate's jacket, and then, well, the rest of the show is about his father defending him. Well, he gets him a separate lawyer because they can't just have him be his lawyer because he needs to be objective, and clearly he's not, as the show proves. So yeah, if you want an idea for that, check it out on Apple TV Plus, Defending Jacob. Literally the greatest TV miniseries ever made, in my opinion. But yeah, something that stood out to me in the article about the whole smartphone thing, like what really got me infuriated about it was two things. One, I personally didn't have an iPhone until I was 19 years old. Up until 6th grade, I did not have anything. Then 7th grade, I got my first track phone, which was a flip phone, which was just really cool to me at the time because at 12 years old, the iPhone hadn't really integrated itself into everyone's lives like it has now. Like it really would by the end of high school. So yeah, I was like a year or two older than Samathi Reddy's daughter, and it was a very basic device. It looked, let me bring up the, here I'll show you. So literally looking at the prices on these, see, $30 for a track phone, very much like the one I had when I was the daughter's age. The only reason I eventually got the iPhone SE was because of Pokemon Go. I literally got it a few days into Pokemon Go's release, and that finally got me to. Now, I still had to pay my dad back for the actual device, which was worth it because not only did I get the ability to play Pokemon Go, I was also able to connect to the internet literally anywhere, regardless of whether there was public Wi-Fi or not. See, between 8th grade when I got my first iPod Touch and the summer between freshman and sophomore year of college, I had an iPod Touch in addition to that dumb phone that I had. Well, I think I went through like one or two other dumb phones before I got my first iPhone. Yeah, it took one or two or three. I don't remember. I just know that I eventually had to replace it every now and then. And along the way, I had an iPod Touch. After having an iPod Nano in seventh grade, actually as far back as fifth grade, I had an iPod that could play movies and music and audiobooks. Then seventh grade was that iPod Nano, and then eighth grade was iPod Touch. Then all throughout high school in the first year of college, I had a dumb phone and an iPod Touch. The iPod Touch I mostly used as a camera and getting on social media. It was kind of like having an iPad, except they could actually fit in my pocket. Now, I'm pretty sure the iPad mini could fit in a pocket. Like, it's not too much larger than. It's not that much larger than my iPhone 16 Pro Max. Yeah, this is why I. But yeah, after about 17 minutes, I think I'm finally able to get to the point that children can make do without having an iPhone or a smartphone like that. I'm talking a honest to God smartphone like an iPhone or the Google Pixel. Actually, these two look like they could do pretty much everything that the what is it other iPhones are able to do, because these look like they could do a lot of things the iPhone could do. You can see the Chrome symbol here. Yeah, I would only recommend to kids or for parents who want to get their kids a phone this. And not just because it's the one that I had back when I was their age, and it's not because I feel like they have to have the same quality of phone that I did, because I had to miss out on having an iPhone in those first 9 years after the original came out. We'll get back to that in a second. But anyway, let's recap the article. So, according to the author, coming of age was marked by numerous things like a bar mitzvah, first period, sweet 16 party, or a driver's license. Now, the first smartphone is. Oh, wait, I don't have the article up. Now, the smartphone. The first smartphone is the newest rite of passage. Or you could say it probably replaced some of these. Nah, okay, I'd say it probably replaced the driver's license. And then it turned Sweet 16 birthday parties into essentially prolonged photo shoots. Of course, I wouldn't know because I don't pay much attention to those, but maybe I should watch one of those teen culture is disappearing videos that I keep getting recommended on YouTube. That's an idea. So yeah, he and her husband had been holding off as long as possible from getting their 11-year-old Priya her first smartphone, and nearly all her friends in Queens have one. She describes how smartphones got into the ecosystem of her class, and now only 3 of them don't have smartphones. According to Common Sense Media, by the age of 8, 1 in 4 kids already have a cell phone. And those numbers have only increased over the years. And then she describes it as a necessary tool for staying in touch with their kids when they begin venturing from home. Here's what really got to me about the article that kind of got me annoyed. That they gave their then 17-year-old son a smartphone in 6th grade when most of his peers seemed to be getting one. They set no controls and learned the hard way. So they say that Priya's been using a glitchy kitty watch. Okay, this actually wasn't the part that got me enraged. What really got me enraged was, hold on, I'm trying to find it. Okay, here's something that aggravated me. Priya arguing that by not having a smartphone, she is left out of social plans. Because her mom explained that the iPad works just fine for plan making. Oh yeah, what really got to me was that she pointed out her older brother got one in 6th grade, so it's only fair that she gets one. And she acts like that's some kind of point when she said something about regretting giving the son a smartphone. Yeah, she essentially expressed regret for giving her son a smartphone at that age and seeing it destroy his attention span. Yet she's acting like giving her 11-year-old a smartphone is inevitable, like she has to do it because, oh, she's gonna miss out on the social events and all that. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean you have to. I mean, again, look at me. I didn't have either a smartphone or a dumb phone at that age. I didn't get my first cell phone till I was 12. I didn't get my first smartphone till I was 19 years old. I was a year and a half into adulthood. Granted, I had an iPod Touch, but that's pretty much the same as Priya having an iPad. It only works when it's connected to Wi Fi. It can't make calls or texts. Actually, she could use iMessage with any of her friends who have an iPhone. And she can make FaceTime calls. She just can't text and such. She just can't use the GPS or anything like that. Which is kind of what I needed for Pokemon Go. See, I actually tried playing Pokemon Go on my iPod Touch, but I could only do so much on the public Wi-Fi I was able to connect to. So yeah, I brought up earlier how defending Jacob demonstrated why 14-year-olds should not have access to the internet, period. Another good reason for not giving a child a multi-$100 smartphone is because they're a lot more liable to lose it compared to, say, a teenager. I mean, a late teens. I mean, a legal adult. They're a lot more likely to lose it. And if any parents are watching this, I have a solution for any worries about being able to get in touch with your kid when they're not with you, or letting them get in touch with you when they're not home, when they're out somewhere. It's called a dumb phone. I'm going to show these off from the Best Buy website again. Track phone, Blue Flex, 8 GB prepaid, black, $29.99. If you want something more like an iPhone or a Pixel, Motorola Moto G Play, $40. Track phone, Blue View 5, 64 GB prepaid, black, $30. So yeah, let it go to show that you don't need that, and you shouldn't be entrusting children with devices that could get as expensive as $1,000 just for the sake of being able to call or text them when they're not at home. You just get them one of these sub $50 phones, actually. And then they have to prove their responsibility. Although, honestly, I would say you have to be 18 or older to get a smartphone, because unlimited access to the internet, it's kind of like, remember how Palpatine was like, "Ah, did." Oh, I have no idea how that cut out with the mic, but I guess I got a little too loud. But yeah, I think you get the idea. Children do not need smartphones, and There are alternatives. Sure, you can track an iPhone with Find My, but do you really want to have to go through all that when you could just get your kid one of those super basic dumb phones? I mean, I'd say that my experience with having a dumb phone until I was 19 really made me appreciate having an iPhone because I had my iPod Touch and my phone in one device, and I could finally post Snapchat stories from literally anywhere. This is back when I had Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat anymore, so don't bother looking me up on there. Yeah, children do not need unlimited access to the internet anywhere, or anytime. Really, I'd say adults don't need access to it either, but I'm using it for when I'm out and about, I use it for the sake of, look, as an adult, I spent my money on my phone. I can use it for what I want, when I want. If I want to use it to sit down and watch something on YouTube while I'm eating at a coffee shop or something like that. Oh, actually, I use the external keyboard to make it into a laptop of sorts to do some writing every now and then, propped up on the same MagSafe charging stand that I have it on right now. God, I really wish I had a mirror of some kind so I could show it to you. Whatever. Anyway, a lot of this also got me thinking about this YouTube video I watched recently. I mentioned it in a previous stream. Eddie Burback's I Hate My Phone, so I got rid of it. Yeah, let's look at some highlights from that.
A few weeks ago, I was scrolling through Twitter, an app that I hate, wasting my time, when I came across this post. FaZe Sway's GF, Alina Rose, gifted one of the guys her used panties during the Bop House 5v1 stream with Vex Bolts. Now, I only recognize, I think, one word from that sentence, and it's the word panties, and it made me realize something. I hate my phone. I am constantly using my phone to see things that I don't want to see. Over the last few years,
I actually started to feel kind of similarly with going to see movies that I suspected I wasn't going to care much about. I was like, what am I doing here?
increasingly unfun to use this thing. So why do I keep using it? Apps and social media have gotten much better at drawing me in, but lately I'll break out of my screen time feeling like nothing of value happened. I feel like a lab rat incentivized by cheese, but instead of delicious cheese, I'm being fed dorky ass clips of Elon Musk. It's embarrassing. Not embarrassed? Next time you get sucked into your phone, tell the next person you see everything you were up to for a full hour of screen time. Okay, so my friends.
Yeah, maybe it's kind of like some of the no frappe videos that I've watched over the years. Some of them have always been like, you wouldn't want to If you're so ashamed that you don't want to admit to it, then why are you even doing it in the first place? Same thing with the hub. The hub, some of them are like, you wouldn't watch them do this in real life. Why are you watching it on a screen?
In my life, I've had a device in my pocket that makes me reachable at all times. I want to experience what life was like before the cell phone. So I went even older and began looking into getting a landline. Luckily, this was pretty simple. Some major phone companies, for some reason, still offer a landline service. But
As they should. As I've mentioned before, a landline is a pretty useful tool.
what landline should I choose? There were so many decades and styles to choose from. I could go wireless. I could go with an old rotary. I could keep it to the classics like Sleeping Goofy, M&M's Hanging Out, or Pooh. After weighing all of my options, I finally decided on a mix of everything. A corded landline that still had an answering machine and caller ID. Oh, a landline with an answering machine is not old school enough for you? That's too much new tech? Well, my ass got a Rolodex to pair with it. Now, if you're somebody whose knees still don't hurt, a Rolodex filled out a physical calendar. I got notebooks and pens to replace my notepad app. Grabbed a film camera to take photos with. Every morning, I set an alarm, so I replaced it with an old-fashioned alarm clock. Oh, man, that's gonna piss me off. Why didn't I get a digital alarm clock? I'm getting rid of my phone, not becoming Ebenezer Scrooge. Also, just in case of any major text that I may miss, I hooked up my iMessage to an old laptop Chrissy had, but being able to check text all the time felt like cheating. So I bought this chess clock and decided I would only be able to clock in 5 total minutes checking text the entire month. Wait, this thing takes C batteries? Okay, I'm not gonna use the laptop until I can get some C batteries then. There was so much to replace, but there's one I chose not to. I use my Apple Watch daily for fitness statistics, but honestly, I don't really need it to exercise. I just
Okay, I think you get the idea. Well, that's everything I wanted to talk about, so I think I'm going to leave it here for the live stream. I'll see you soon.